ask anyone to recommend you an anime where humanity is in a constant state of existential crisis, teetering on the brink of near extinction, and you probably get Attack on Titan as your answer, and rightfully so. As Attack on Titan marches towards its conclusion, I find myself longing to watch something that would give me a persistent and recurring feeling of dread that humanity is just dangling by this smallest of threads, facing insurmountable odds of survival, where small victories were tempered by a cascade of devastating losses that preceded it. To put it bluntly, I want to watch an anime where humanity is screwed. So I booted up my mental Rolodex and began combing through the mountain of anime that I've seen over the years. Space in my mind that should have been reserved to convert fractions were taken up instead by Samurai Pizza Cats. It wasn't in vain because it allowed me to bring you this list. Here are 5 anime where humanity is having a particularly rough time. Kabaneri Iron Fortress, it's got some great animation quality in it. It's very Attack on Titan-ish. It's a world that's been overrun by this virus that infects humans and consequently turns them into mindless monsters that desire to consume human flesh. Basically zombies, but the show refers to them as Kabaneri. The remaining survivors of civilization have constructed these massive walled fortresses to keep out the Kabaneri, and the only way to enter or exit these walls is through these highly armored trains. Think Train to Busan meets Snowpiercer, and you essentially have an idea of what Kabaneri Iron Fortress is. Ergo Proxy takes place in a world where an ecological disaster has destroyed much of mankind. The last remnants of civilization exist inside these large domes that can sustain human life. The humans, in all their hubris, as they try to recover, decide we're gonna design robots to help us with day-to-day life. When has that ever gone wrong? So a mysterious virus begins spreading amongst these robots, making them self-aware and compelling them to commit murders. This is a pretty dark anime and has a lot of psychological thriller tones. Definitely worth the check. For those of you introduced to anime in the early 90s, you know this anime. Vampire Hunter D takes place in a post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear Earth where humans live unharmoniously amongst demons, monsters, and vampires. It has like a very Western frontier vibe to it. D is a vampire hunter of pretty high regard and is hired to protect this young girl who's been chosen by a particularly nasty vampire to be his bride. And so our story follows him around, but we get to see like the desolation of this world that they exist in. When a mysterious virus wipes out all the adults on the planet, vampires begin emerging from underground to enslave the children that are left behind, using them as these reoccurring food sources in these deep underground kingdoms. Some of the kids who were left behind on top of the surface, and then some who have escaped since then to the top of the surface, begin forming these coalitions and these resistance to fight back against the vampires and restore humanity. The story is far more complicated than that. There's a lot of different things involved in it, but that's the general sense of it. Particularly in the anime, you get a sense that the humans are really screwed for a lot of the time, especially in a lot of the battles and wars that take place. Humans are just straight up outmatched. They have to rely on all these secondary and tertiary means to actually fight the vampires and stand toe-to-toe with them. High School of the Dead is a very classical take on zombie apocalypse, you know, kind of classical with fan service, I guess. High School of the Dead is about a group of classmates that band together to escape their school and find their family members out in the world after a zombie plagues begin spreading through the campus like wildfire. It's fun. It's got some surprisingly really good animation in it, and honestly, I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. One of the better zombie animes that I've seen. Those are my recommendations. If you think I missed something, drop it in the comments so I can check it out. Hit the like and subscribe button so I know to keep making videos. That is all my time, and I will see you on the other side.